It seems like narcissism has become the norm all around. Narcissists at school, in the workplace, on the streets, the restaurant, on social media, you name it. Narcissism is part of the standard package we have to deal with to get by on a day-to-day basis. So having a narcissistic neighbor is not a big surprise. The surprise is when you find out how easy it is to avoid your narcissistic neighbor's traps and lead a healthy life away from the unnecessary toxicity. As we shall see in this video, dealing with a narcissistic neighbor and their constant harassment and annoyance is as easy as merely changing your perception. That's all it takes sometimes. Other times, it takes some more intricate tactics. Stick around to number 5 to learn one of the most practical tactics to deal with that smug neighbor of yours. Number 1. Acknowledge the narcissism of your neighbor when you interact with them. Narcissists have the tendency to make us forget why we hate them in the first place by charming us. They're good at conversation and project a fake charisma that can be hypnotizing at times. A pathological narcissist would make you forget their negative side by hiding it in plain sight. When you acknowledge, without being too judgmental, that your neighbor is actually only approaching you to assert their narcissistic behavior, not because they're concerned about you, your perception changes. When you change your perception, your thought patterns and behavior operate on a higher level than the narcissist. This makes dealing with narcissistic neighbors a lot easier because you can foresee their thought patterns and the negative behavior they usually exhibit. Number 2. Don't allow your nosy narcissist neighbors to get involved in your private matters. Nosy neighbors come in all shapes. While some curiosity about one's neighbors is natural and innocent most of the time, nosy narcissist neighbors are definitely not innocently curious. A narcissist neighbor would approach you and make you feel comfortable just to know something about you that raises their curiosity. The problem comes from their curiosity because it springs from a dark place of the toxic interplay between self-loathing and ego inflation. What we mean is that the narcissist would meddle in your private matters just to assert to themselves and others that they're somehow better than you. A narcissist is like the legal system. Anything you say could and would be used against you. So you better watch out for what sort of information you let the nosy narcissist know about you. Since you really don't have to interact with a person merely because they're in the neighborhood, especially when they're obviously narcissistic, you have every right to keep your privacy. Saying no to an invitation or being confrontational about your desire not to get too close with your narcissist neighbor is normal. When you set your limits and you commit to not letting narcissists trespass those limits, you form around yourself a psychic shield. It's a metaphorical shield that protects you from being swayed by the narcissist neighbor's schemes. Even though it's your neighbor, when a narcissist approaches you, the relationship they seek is not the kind of relationship that people with healthy psyches usually form. A relationship with a narcissistic neighbor would always turn into toxicity when secrets are being shared. So keep your private matters to yourself. Enjoying the video so far? Then don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more insightful psychology videos like this one. You'll only get smarter, and it's free. Number 3. Don't let your narcissistic neighbor receive empathy from you. The narcissist would approach you and tell you a secret about themselves to invoke your empathy so you can open up easily. This should be a red flag for you. A narcissist only finds satisfaction when others feel the inferiority they themselves do. They can only forget about their inferiority and shallowness by invoking those feelings in others. Instead of dealing with their inferiority complex in a healthy way, an extreme narcissist deceives his or herself by making others feel inferior. And one way a narcissist has the power to make you feel inferior is by invoking your sympathy and using it against you. For the narcissist, it's never about sympathy. It's always about finding something or someone who can make them feel more superior than who they really are. Number 4. Maintain eye contact in conversation with the narcissist neighbor and make it short. Narcissists are not very comfortable in their own skin. That's why they always like to see themselves through the eyes of others to remind themselves that their mask is actually who they are. The trick is to acknowledge their narcissism while keeping eye contact. You have to understand that a narcissist is essentially very shallow when they're alone. It's the void inside their souls that speaks loudly when they meet others. The outward grandiosity of pathological narcissists is a symptom of their inner shallowness. The inflated ego of a narcissist is very vulnerable to your piercing eyes, which can see beyond the veil of fake superiority. That's why merely acknowledging that your neighbor is a narcissist who suffers from an inferiority complex most of the time while holding eye contact with them can change how the narcissist interacts with you. Most intense emotions and signals are communicated non-verbally, and eyes are very good at expressing your attitude and stance, sometimes better than your best articulated words. When the narcissist looks into your calm eyes that seem to penetrate beyond their mask, they'll try to avoid you and show you more respect. You receive respect because narcissists feel threatened by the power of people capable of seeing them for who they are. That should make your interactions with your narcissist neighbor very short, which is exactly what you want. When your interactions are short and have an underlying sense of respect, chances are good you'll be able to keep the toxic behavior of your narcissist neighbor at bay. Number 5. Don't try to get even. Part of what motivates the negative behavior of that nasty neighborhood narcissist is the feeling of vindictiveness. Since the narcissist projects their sense of inferiority onto others, they might go around trying to offend others to make them also feel inferior as a punishment for their happiness and indifference. Any manifestation of happiness in you brings a sense of envy in your neighbor's mind that drives them to try to hurt you one way or another. A narcissist neighbor's harassment often takes a passive-aggressive turn. However, it hurts sometimes, which might drive you to seek to get even. When you're motivated by the same energy that fuels the narcissist, you get trapped in their downward spiral with them. Desiring to get even would drive you to act in a certain way that will offend the narcissist, which in turn will make them seek vengeance, because that's what they do. The plot doesn't lead anywhere better from there. The best approach is to do what the ancient Eastern gurus would have advised you to do. Leave the narcissist's karma to teach them a lesson. Narcissists hate it a lot when they're ignored, forgotten, or even forgiven for no reason. Anything that doesn't feed their negative, egoistic tendencies makes them retreat to their safe spaces. When you don't allow the narcissist to play their games of getting even, you represent a threat to their identity, which makes them retreat from encountering you and leave you alone. For narcissists, their false sense of identity that they often go around selling to others is the most valuable asset they have. Even though it's an exaggerated identity or quite often a lie, the narcissist won't risk having you jeopardize their false constructs by not abiding by their mental games. So, they just leave you alone. However, if you get yourself caught up in their games, the narcissist will always have the upper hand, because they derive pleasure from vengeance. If you seek to get even with something that the narcissist has done to you, you're practically in their territory, and they know it better than you. Always keep in mind that the boastful identity of the narcissist is merely a mask that hides their unconscious hatred for their shallowness. Instead of playing into their inferiority-superiority mind tricks, enjoy a life without narcissists' toxic mental and behavioral patterns. Show the narcissist a lesson on how to be a more mature individual. And if you liked this video, then check out these related videos to see more. And make sure to like this video to let the algorithm know you'd like to see more videos like these.